Alright, well, nobody has told me to stop doing this yet, so I'm back with another narrated video. Starting off with this page again, I did not have a thumbnail. Of course, that's pretty much the norm going forward. I haven't been stopping to make thumbnails. Pretty much just throwing panels on there and making sure it tells the story. There's a lot about arranging a page that I'm still not sure about. The reason I'm pulling up a lot of the old pages on the right there is because I wanted to make sure I wasn't repeating too many of the arrangements or the poses that I had already done. And I knew I needed a flashback sequence. I wasn't really sure how I was going to tackle that when I started out, so that's the bottom right corner of the page. I was really nervous about breaking the first part with Carl there into 4 panels, because it did mean drawing him 4 times right next to each other, so any flaws in my repetition of the character would be super evident. It's always something that's worried me about comic making. It's taken me a long time to get even as good as I am at repeating characters. Oh, this last panel was such a mess. We had some struggles with that face. Yes, we did. Yeah, I don't even remember what I was trying to do there. That panel was a major confidence drain, working on this page. It slowed me down for a couple of days or weeks even. Every time I looked at it, I completely lost all hope. I need to not let these do that to me. I hit a roadblock there. And I worked past it eventually. I kept poking at it until I got it to look halfway decent. I know I still come back and mess with it a couple more times before the end. Yep, switching his arm over to the other side there, so it's his right arm that's already raised. It seemed like a good idea to keep the motions simple between panels, especially since these are supposed to look like they're fairly close together. I think almost in terms of animation sometimes, which I know I shouldn't. For the flashback, I ended up going with these little silhouette designs. It's like a little silhouette storyboard, and I had a lot of fun making these. Actually, this was probably my favorite part of the page. If I could do a whole comic in just little silhouettes of characters, that would be fun. It's so much easier than all of the stages it has to go through. Empire's crest there on the flags. I didn't realize this at the time, but that soldier on the right totally looks like he's dabbing. He's not, he's flinching from the fire, but he could be dabbing. The purple fire and all the purple that I used here is, my thinking behind it is that Carl's telling the story, these are Carl's memories, and purple is the color that represents Carl. Trying to be very symbolic with my color choices and think about themes and stuff. We'll see how much I stay loyal to that going forward. I think I did spend a good hour or two looking up historical war dioramas and different paintings of battle scenes and stuff. The one over there on the right was just one of them. I drew a lot of inspiration on this part from those ancient Greek frescoes and Roman and Egyptian too, I guess. No, the Egyptians are more hieroglyphics. So Roman and Greek, the little dioramas they'd have on vases and things, telling a little story. Kind of struggled with the black fire there again. I wanted it to be black fire, and of course my background was black, so you couldn't actually have black fire. Later I did come up with a better solution for that than making it look like white fire, which is a totally different thing and is not what that's supposed to be. The line work for this one went pretty smooth, I think. I had a couple issues with some of the Carls, but a lot of it I was surprised how fast I blew through it. One of the reasons it's taking me so long to get this video out, I guess I should speak in past tense, one of the reasons it took me so long to get this video out is that I didn't really want to look back at this page. There's a lot about it that I guess I wasn't happy with, even when I published it. And so I didn't want to break my stride while I was working on page 11 and go back and look at all my mistakes, essentially, from page 10. Because I make mistakes on every page. I've made mistakes everywhere, and every time I go back and do one of these videos, I'm going back and looking like, oh, yeah, I messed that up. Oh, look at, that's terrible. Oh, wow, yeah, I messed that up. And I also see the things I did right, and I try to learn from those and bring in more of that moving forward. It's just, I was worried it was going to be something that would set me back. Now page 11 is done, it's published, and I can finally look back at this and think, yeah, it's in the past now, it's alright. I had a lot of trouble with Carl's pose in this panel, especially his right arm there pressed up against the door. I went and found some reference images of men standing indoors. The guy on the very right bottom picture there, he's actually bracing an earthquake. So that was appropriate. But I didn't have that much room in the panel, so I couldn't copy that pose exactly. And essentially what it came down to is that I was kind of squishing Carl into this tiny panel where he didn't have enough room, and so I ended up moving him off to the right side eventually so that his arm would have the right amount of space. Because the way he's holding that arm right now, I'm pretty sure a human body can't do that. It doesn't look right. And it bugged me for days too. Yeah, there we go, just deleting the whole arm. Gave up on that one. That's alright, it needed to go. That arm needed to go. And I don't think the proportions are quite right still on this one, but it's at least within my acceptable margin of error. Working on effects like the falling dust there is one of my favorite parts. I like adding the little details sometimes a lot more than I like sketching out the panels or doing all the line work in color. Oh, here we go. This one's notorious. This is a notorious face. Like, I thought the one on the right was hard. This one killed me. I like the hand though. The hand turned out pretty good. Maybe except part of the thumb, but other than that, pretty good. No, the face, Oh, it's so squished, it's so bad. Shoot me now. Yeah, and I went and complained to my friend Micah about it for a little bit. I kind of do that whenever I mess up on something. I just go complain to him and he tells me, no, it's fine. And he's wrong, but I do appreciate it. And I kept working at it. I don't think I ever did get it to a point where I was happy with it, but I did get it to a point where I didn't want to shoot it on site. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. I'm not very good at admitting defeat and moving on. Yeah, I had no idea what to do for that panel. These little dioramas of the cities were really fun to draw. Kind of referencing other art pieces I've worked on, some of which are published, some of which are not. Of course, there are 7 cities, and that's only 4 of them. Love it if anyone could guess which 4. Oh, the little skull. That's one of my favorite parts too, all the skeletons. That would be my favorite part. We're gonna get a little dark. It's gonna be fun. I love how I just gave up on drawing the buckles on his arm braces. Those show up in the first couple of pages and then never after that. It was fun getting to revisit his full outfit here. I really enjoy drawing the whole design. Our first appearance of Deb. She's looking very spooky. The yellow light really doesn't help. That's something I struggled with on the next page too, is just, lighting someone with blonde hair with yellow light is such a mistake. But it's the narrative part of the story, like I have to do it. I left myself no option. I actually designed Deb's outfit in my sketch. Was he smoking a cigarette? Oh, what a criminal. Anyway, I forgot I did that. Drawing children's faces is so hard. He's supposed to be 2 years old in this panel, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But I actually designed Deb's outfit in my sketchbook during a meeting I went to at one of my other jobs. I just sat there in the corner and designed a quick outfit for her because I realized I'd never done that before. So it's funny when you're halfway through a page and you realize one of the main characters in it doesn't have clothes. Alright, my second attempt at the We Didn't Have a Son panel. Went with something very symbolic. Unfortunately, I ended up asking a friend if it reminded them of furries. They said yes. So I was like, well, we'll try something else for that one then. Could have been the power of suggestion, I guess. Their living space in the panel I'm working on is based on some pictures I found online from a Celtic museum in England somewhere, I think. But they basically recreated this little Celtic village and filled it with furniture and pots and baskets and things. By this point, I'm not sure what color Carl's beard is, or his coat for that matter. I've used so many different shades of purple, and it's all because, everything is different light. It starts off in fluorescent light, ends up walking through the city at night. It's just impossible to keep these colors straight. And now he's in yellow light, yellow magic light. What does a purple coat look like in yellow magic light? Wrong answers only. Kind of struggling too with the fact that the way his face is lit by just light on one side, it's not a very flattering lighting situation. You never really want to be lit on one side by yellow light. That's just, it's not a good look. It's one of those things I gotta start to worry about, all of the parts in my book that take place in pitch darkness. I'm gonna have to figure out some way to light those scenes. Yeah, I'm complaining about yellow light now. Just wait till we get to the scenes with no light. You thought this was hard? One thing that I've been thinking about with this comic is if I wasn't such a stickler with the lighting, if I didn't spend this much time worrying about the way the colors interacted and all of that, it would be so much easier, it would be so much faster to get these pages done. And at the same time, it wouldn't be telling the same story because the light and the color is such a big part of the story, of the narrative itself. Don't know why I set myself up like this, but it's a dilemma for sure. But the light and the color is one reason I wanted to make it a comic instead of just a novel. There's so much about this story that is visual, and in a novel you lose that. Now, there's a certain amount of imagination, which I've always appreciated, but it's not the same as actually seeing it. It'll never be the same as seeing it. There it is, the magic light. Guess you could call it a wear light or something. That's the general term, isn't it? In fantasy? I know I made up a special word for it at some point, but I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head. I have memorized some of my made-up language, but not that word. Oh, one of my reference images over there on the right is actually a house from, I think, early 1900s New York. I went and I found a site with a bunch of just pictures of the insides of people's houses from New York in 1901 or 1900, and it was really cool. It's a lot of simple living arrangements. The kind of living space my characters probably would have had. It's one of those things, like, I don't have to go and do historical research, but I just enjoy it so darn much. How can I not? It's something I don't factor into the time I spend on these pages either. You'll see that the time at the end, it'll say something like 20 hours. Well, that doesn't include the 2 hours I spent looking for pictures of slums from 1905 New York. It's always something. All things considered, I'm glad Ben turned out looking as cute as he did. It's definitely been a learning experience for me, drawing him as a kid. Oof. Yeah, drawing her face in shadow was scary too. I think this is one of the mistakes I made. I made her hair too yellow. I made her hair way too yellow, and then I shined a yellow light on it so it's even yellower than yellow. If her hair was lit by daylight, she would still look like a sunflower. Oh, and then there we go, I figured it out that I could make the background gold there, and voila, have black fire. Last touch is the Gaulish speech symbols, which also took me a little hour on the side to come up with, and then I'm just wrapping up a couple of details. Yes, that's when I asked my friend about the paw print, the "we didn't have a sun" panel, and I was like, is this creepy? And he was like, yeah. So I switched over to a really simple stock photo type one. It tells the story. It's maybe too simple, but it does the job.